Right.
You know.
Okay, so you run it back through this life.
Yeah.
And then would you just go past lives on it?
Yeah.
And
because, for example, on milk, my mother once drank milk while she was carrying me. And I vomited in her stomach. I vomited. And I went through the incident vomiting in her stomach.
Well, how did that come to pass?
okay, let's say you get that cognition and you've got a charge on it on the meter.
Right, I actually vomited again. I was vomiting there. But I was not there. I was in my mother's stomach.
Okay. How would the charge on that cognition be reduced?
I'd have to keep reviewing the incident and re-stimulating it.
Until you no longer got to read on the meter.
Until I no longer had to read, and then we would go to an earlier incident.
And so you would just keep looking for an earlier incident until one occurred.
Yeah.
And then you would
it's
describe
like doing
that,
fish and fumble.
And then you would describe that incident fully.
Right.
And then you keep reviewing the incident until the charge
go to the
disappeared.
earliest incident on the track that you could find where there's any charge. And then what we would do is we would do a check. I would go to a past life where I loved milk. See?
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a control in scientific terminology. Where I would find a lifetime prior to that where I loved milk. You know. And I would be drinking milk, wasting milk, feeding milk to babies, you know, all the different things you can do with milk. Even a milk enema, you know. And I found that, well, at that time I was fine, you know. That was after the milk issue had been destimulated. So we wanted to make sure it wasn't from an earlier incident. You follow?
Mm-hmm.
So that's how it works. And whole track incidents are run the same way. For example, take for example this one. 955 quadrillion years ago,
mm-hmm.
where I smashed a bubble of light. It was a crime. It was an overt act. Because that light was a source of theta. It was a source of pleasure, shall I say in English, for other thetans. And I deliberately smashed a bubble of light and inhibited theta by creating n theta.
This is what I'm trying to understand. How did you come to that realization? You're sitting there. What caused that thought to come?
That thought came from a lifetime where I was blind. And the way I found this incident is to go back to the first time that I had any overts on light. This is how the processes work. Let's say you have a somatic, like an upset stomach or an ulcer. You look for anyone close to you that had an ulcer, like a father or grandfather or someone. Then you look for the overt act where you harmed that person.
But how do you find it? You're sitting there with an auditor, right?
You review pictures.
You mean
all you're doing when you're auditing is reviewing pictures. You're reviewing mental image pictures that the auditor asks you to look at.
Okay. How does you know which pictures, how do those pictures come about? Does
the auditor says, what's that picture? He's looking, I'm here with the cans, and the meter is here. I don't see the meter.
Right.
I got the cans in my hand, like so. I always like my needles up. Okay. I have the cans like here, so. And he's saying, let's look at some pictures. And
do you close your eyes? How do you?
He's actually going to do this. Okay. You know, he would have been such a great Scientologist if he wasn't a
wog.
This guy, he would have been, you know where he could have gone? He could have been at management, this guy. You know?
Okay.
So anyway, I'm looking at pictures. You got it set?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, it's flat. Okay, good. You know what you're doing. Okay. What sensitivity did you use? Oh, okay. Ah! Okay.
Hey, don't second guess me.
I know. I just want to make sure. Because you haven't used the Super 7 yet, you know.
That's right.
And I'm looking at a picture, because this is how I'm holding the cans, you know. And the auditor says to me, look at a picture. For example, right now, I'm thinking of a picture that's unpleasant. Follow?
Yeah.
And I'm getting some charge on it. Do you see? Okay. And what we do is we look at that picture until the charge on it is gone.
But how does the auditor know which picture you're looking at?
He asks me. He said to me, look at a picture of, let's say, well, I'll use the milk example again. Let's say you look at a picture of you drinking the milk that Gabrielle gave you, which was poisoned.
Okay. How does he know to ask that question?
Oh, well, let's say we've gotten to that point. We review an incident, then we look for an earlier incident. He'll say, let's look at an earlier incident. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you...
So he asks you an open-ended question, what do you see, what do you hear? And you come up with an answer of what you see or what you hear?
Right.
And then from there he asks another question?
That's right.
All right.
And he gets the reads, and the auditor directs the show. He directs the session based on what he is reading on the meter.
Why don't you think about the time when Umberto cut your finger, cut your arm? Think about it now.
Okay.
Go back to it.
Yeah.
Can you be there?
I'm there.
What does it feel like?
Painful. Very painful.
Come back to the room.
Okay.
You hear?
Yeah.
Okay, I must have had the settings wrong on there because we're not getting any reaction on the meter.
You're reading me on low. That's why.
Oh, okay.
All right. Put it on what?
Let me just
You can only read a person that's... You're reading me on a setting for people that aren't clear.
Trim this down and set it.
Set it the right way.
Okay.
And then we're going to do this again.
I have to do all your work for you, too. All right.
Yeah, I haven't had any training.
Hold on. First of all, you were reading me on low, and you were reading me much too high for that setting.
Oh, okay. Sorry.